Hi everyone, I am Sneha, co-founder and CEO DevCompass, and as usual, I am absolutely thrilled to have you guys here. We are on video 2 of stage 2 of our Claude Certificate Preparation course, and I am sure and I hope that you guys are having fun. For everyone who has no clue of what I am talking about, please head over to devcompass.ai and you will get all the information about our Claude Certificate Preparation course. So we will see you there, and all of us, let's get started. Okay, so the title of this presentation is very interesting. Why something went wrong is the worst error you can return to an AI agent. Okay, as of now it was all very AI related, tool definitions, context, memory, blah blah blah, but this more seems like a statement. So okay, imagine you're working on a task and you ask a colleague to look something up. They come back and say something went wrong. That's it. That's all you get. What do you do with that? Do you try again? Do you try a different approach? Do you escalate to someone else? Or do you just take a moment of pause and look at them with a smile on your face? If you know, you know. Okay, you have no idea because you have zero information, zero context. This is exactly what most developers return to Claude when a tool fails, and it's exactly why those agents get stuck, retry the same thing pointlessly, or give up on a task they could have recovered from, and we are going to fix this in this video. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Again, interesting. Okay, so let's see. What are these three cards that we see on the screen? When a tool fails, Claude needs three specific ideas or pieces of information to respond intelligently. Look at these three cards. The first is category. What type of failure is it? A not found error is completely different from a timeout. A permission error requires a completely different response from a validation error. If Claude knows the category, it knows what kind of problem it's dealing with, and it can reason about what to do next. Without it, all failures look identical. The second is whether an error is retryable, true or false. That's it. This single flag is doing an enormous amount of work. If retryable is true, Claude knows it can try again, and maybe the network hiccuped, maybe a rate limited lifted. If retryable is false, Claude knows that trying again will produce the same result, and it should do something instead. Without this flag, Claude enters retries pointlessly or gives up when it shouldn't. The third is a plain language description, not a stack trace, not a raw database error, a description in terms that Claude can actually use to reason about next steps or explain the situation to the user. No order found with that ID is useful. SQL exception, row not found in table orders 2024 is not, blah blah blah. All three together is what makes a structured error that should be given. And a generic message like something went wrong gives exactly none of them to Claude. So what is it that we're going to do here? So let's see. Version A versus version B. This is my favorite way to kind of communicate what I am trying to, because until and unless you have examples, come on, I am not that smart. So version A is very generic. Now we will see that what is the exact difference this makes with a real example for our agent. So the agent calls lookup order, passing an order ID. The order does not exist in the database. So here is what will come back. Okay, this is a scenario. Look at version A on the left. This is what most developers return by default, a JSON object with one field error, something went wrong. Now put yourselves in Claude's position. You called a tool, this came back, what do you know? You know that something is not right. Yeah, you don't know what. You don't know if the order ID was wrong or the database was down. or the customer has no orders at all, you don't know if you should try again. You don't know what to tell the customer. You're completely stuck, and that's exactly what that symbol says on the screen. Now look at version B on the right. Same failure, same situation, but now Claude gets three things. Category, not found, retryable, false. This tells Claude that this is a data problem. The order ID did not match any record. It's not a system failure. Retryable, false. This tells Claude that there's no point trying the same order ID again. The result will be the same. And the message, no order found with ID ORD1042, the customer may have provided an incorrect ID. Ask them to verify. That tells Claude exactly what to do next. Now, if you look at these three check marks in the right card, category, so that Claude knows what happened. Retryable, false, Claude won't waste a retry. Message, so that Claude knows what to ask the user. Three decisions that Claude can now make cleanly from one error response. That's the difference between an agent that gets stuck and an agent that can act really, really smart. And that is what we have to be careful with. Now, what do we do next? Okay, so we will look at error categories. Now I want you to give you a reference you can actually use when you're building such production level agents. On screen is a table of the most common error categories you will encounter, what their retryable value should be, and what Claude's next move should be for each. So let's start from the top. Not found, retryable, false. Claude's next move is that ask user to verify the input because the record does not exist. Retrying will literally return the same result, so we need a verification, the ID, the order number, the email address, whatever. Permission, retryable, false. Claude cannot fix the permission problem. It doesn't have the ability to grant itself access. This needs to go to a human and escalate. Validation, retryable, false. The input was in the wrong format, wrong date format, wrong field type, missing required field. Claude should tell the user what format is actually required and expect an input from the user in that correct format. Timeout, retryable, true. The service didn't respond in time, but it might respond if Claude tries again. Retry once. If it times out again, inform the user that there's a delay. Rate limit, retryable, true. Claude hit a request cap. Wait for the limit or the time duration to be fulfilled and then retry with backoff. Don't hammer the service again immediately. And it literally shows you a time when your maybe credits will be back, or if suppose there's like a rate limit on, like in general, if there's too many responses or whatsoever, please take some time and then get back. System error, retryable, false. Something broke on the back end, database down, server error. So retrying blindly won't help and could make things worse. So it should be escalated to a human. So keep this table in mind when you do the walkthroughs, which is in this stage. It is your reference for assigning the right category and retryable flag to 4 failure scenarios. And it could be a potential exam question, like not directly, but maybe. Okay, now there's one more dimension to structured error that most developers don't think about until it causes a problem. So look at the diagram on the screen. This is the context window which we have already talked about in stage 0 and stage 1. The same one that we introduced there with a 40% token fulfillment, and we talked about it in a lot of detail, so I hope you recall. And here's what I want you to notice. That large dashed block in the middle, that's a tool error response, not a successful result, an error. And look how much space it takes up relative to everything else in that context window. When a tool fails and returns an error, that error goes into the conversation history exactly like a successful result would. Every single turn adds to the context. Successful results, failed results, all of it. Which means if your error response is a 500-word stack trace, raw database output, internal error messages, full exception logs. That's 500 words of context consumed, and they're not useful words. They are noise that Claude has to process and work around. Look at the comparison below the diagram. A verbose error takes around 400 tokens. A structured error with the same information so that it has enough context, whether it should retry, like category, retry and information, will take around 40 tokens. Same category, same retryable flag, same actionable message, 10 times leaner. That's not a small difference over a long agentic session with multiple tool failures. It's the difference between a conversation that runs clean for 40 turns and one that starts degrading at 20 because the context is just clogged with error noise. We said it in stage 1 and it applies here. Context is a resource. Please treat it like one. Structured errors are not just clearer for Claude, they are a context management decision as well, and you know how important that is. Okay. So that was it in the video. A few summary. Every error needs category, retryable flag, plain language message. Generic errors will always leave Claude stuck. Structured error lets Claude act, and error lives in context too, so keep them lean, keep them structured. The walkthrough after this asks you to write structured error responses for 4 failure scenarios using the category table that I just showed you in this video. Go do that before the next video. It's one of your assignments. When you come back, we're covering something that surprises a lot of developers. The fact that even with perfect tool descriptions and perfect error responses, you still cannot rely on Claude to follow your business rules through prompting alone. And this one will have real consequences, money consequences in the example I'm going to use. So see you in the next video and just keep doing your assignments on time.